The mess hall of the starship Horizon's Edge was always busy during lunchtime. Hundreds of aliens from different planets sat together at long tables. They talked and laughed and shared food. The room was warm and full of life. Kira Voss stood near the food machines with her tray in her hands. She was a human engineer, only 24 years old. She had joined this ship 3 days ago. Everything was still new and strange to her. The aliens around her had different shapes and colors. Some had tentacles. Some had fur. Some looked like living crystals. She found all of it amazing, but there was one thing that confused her. Near the big window at the far end of the room, there was a table. It had the best view on the whole ship. Stars moved past the glass like rivers of light. It was beautiful. Anyone would want to sit there, but no one did. The table was empty, except for one person. A woman sat there alone. She was not human, but she had a human shape. Her skin was deep purple, like the sky at sunset. 2 thin antennae grew from her forehead. They drooped down sadly, like flowers without water. Her eyes were large and golden, like honey in sunlight. She was very beautiful. And she was completely alone. Kira watched as a group of aliens walked past that table. One of them, a blue creature with many arms, looked toward the purple woman. His skin turned pale. He grabbed his friend and pulled him away fast. They went to sit on the other side of the room. The purple woman did not look up. Her antennae drooped lower, did not even think about it. Kira turned around. Her roommate Tessin had found her. Tessin was a Mallory, a cat-like alien with soft copper fur. Her fur changed color with her feelings. Right now it was turning dark with worry. Think about what? Kira asked. Tessin pointed her whiskers toward the window table. Her, the Velith. What is a Velith? Her species. Tessin's fur got even darker. They are empaths, Kira. Very strong empaths. They feel everything that everyone around them feels, and they cannot control it. If you sit near her, she will know every secret thought in your head, every fear, every shame. Everything you hide from yourself, she will see it. Kira looked back at the purple woman. That sounds hard. For her, it is hard for everyone. Tessin moved closer and spoke quietly. There was a great war long ago. The Velith were almost all killed. Other species could not live near them. The empathy was too strong. Now there are very few Velith left, and they carry all the pain of their dead people inside them. That is terrible. Yes, it is. Tessin put her paw on Kira's arm. Being near her is like standing next to a black hole. Her sadness will pull you in and crush you. Please, Kira, stay away from her. Kira did not answer. She looked at the purple woman by the window. The woman had pushed her food away. She was not eating. She just sat there, staring at the stars. Her reflection in the glass showed a face full of loneliness. Kira knew that face. She had seen it in her own mirror, back when she was young. She ate her lunch at a table with Tessin that day. But she kept looking at the window. She kept thinking about the purple woman. That night, Kira could not sleep. She lay in her bed and stared at the ceiling. The room was dark and quiet. Tessin was sleeping on the other bed, her fur soft gray in the dim light. Kira thought about her childhood. She had grown up on a small space station in the asteroid belt. Life was hard there. There was not much food or water or air. Everyone had to work together to survive. And when someone was left alone, when no one would talk to them or help them, that person usually did not last long. Loneliness was a slow death. Kira had learned that lesson early. She thought about her grandmother. Grandma Voss was a tough old woman who had survived the Earth collapse. She had helped rebuild human civilization from nothing. She had a saying that she repeated often. Everyone deserves someone who shows up, Grandma Voss would say. Even the difficult ones. Especially the difficult ones. Kira closed her eyes. She made a decision. Tomorrow, she would show up the next day. Kira got her lunch from the food machine. Then she walked toward the window table. She felt everyone watching her. Conversation stopped. Heads turned. She heard Tessin calling her name, but she did not look back. She just kept walking. The purple woman looked up when Kira got close. Her golden eyes went wide. Her antennae pressed flat against her head like she was scared. "Hello," Kira said. "Can I sit here?" The woman stared at her for a long time. Then she shook her head slowly. "You should not be here." "Why not?" "This is the best seat in the whole room. You know why." The woman's voice was soft and musical. "Your friend told you about me." I could feel her fear yesterday. She was very afraid. She told me you can feel other people's feelings. She told me you have been through something very bad. Kira sat down anyway, putting her tray on the table. She told me you carry a lot of pain. Then you understand why you should leave. I understand why everyone else leaves. Kira picked up her fork and looked at her food. It was gray and did not look good. I am not everyone else. The woman looked at her with those big golden eyes. Kira felt something soft touch her mind, like fingers running through water. It did not hurt. It just felt strange. "You are not afraid of me," the woman said slowly. "You are curious and stubborn, and—" She stopped. Her antennae lifted a little bit. "Lonely?" Kira smiled. "Takes one to know one. What is your name?" The woman was quiet for a moment. "Nyrith." "My name is Nyrith. Nice to meet you, Nyrith. I am Kira." She pointed at Nyrith's untouched food. "Are you going to eat that?" Nyrith looked down at her tray like she had forgotten about it. "I am not very hungry." "Me neither. This food looks terrible." Kira pushed her own tray forward. "Maybe we can trade. Yours might taste better than mine." For the first time, something like a smile appeared on Nyrith's face. It was small and quick, but it was real. "I do not think so," Nyrith said. "The food machine does not like me. Then we will suffer together." Kira raised her fork like she was making a toast. "To bad food and new friends." Nyrith did not answer, but her antennae stood up a little straighter, and the small smile came back. They ate together in silence. The food was bad. The stars were beautiful. And for the first time in 3 years, Nyrith was not alone. Kira came back the next day, and the day after that, and the day after that. Every lunchtime, she walked across the mess hall to the window table. Every day, she sat down across from Nyrith, and they ate together. The food was always bad. The view was always beautiful. And slowly, very slowly, Nyrith began to talk. "I was 7 years old when the war ended," Nyrith said one day. Her golden eyes were looking at the stars, but Kira could tell she was seeing something else. "I do not remember much. Just noise and fire and screaming. And then silence. So much silence." Kira did not say anything. She just listened. "The Velith numbered in the billions before the war," Nyrith continued. "We lived on 12 worlds. We had cities and art and music. We had families." Her voice got very quiet. "Now there are less than 1,000 of us left, scattered across the galaxy, alone. Why did they attack your people?" Kira asked softly. "Because of what we are." Nyrith's antennae drooped. "Empaths are dangerous, Kira, not because we want to hurt anyone, but because we cannot hide what we feel, and we cannot let others hide what they feel. Many species found that unbearable. That is not your fault." "No, but it does not matter." Nyrith finally looked at her. "The result is the same. People are afraid of us. They avoid us. They always have. Kira reached across the table and put her hand near Nyrith's, not quite touching. I am not afraid of you. I know. Nyrith's eyes were wet. That is what confuses me. The weeks passed. Kira learned more about Nyrith, and Nyrith learned more about Kira. They talked about their childhoods, their dreams, their fears. They laughed at the same jokes. They complained about the same things. They became friends. But it was not easy that being near Nyrith meant feeling things that were not her own. Sometimes, Kira would sit down for lunch and suddenly feel like crying for no reason. Sometimes a wave of sadness would hit her so hard that she could not breathe. Sometimes old memories that were not hers would flash through her mind. Burning cities, screaming children, the terrible quiet of empty worlds. These were Nyrith's memories. The war, the death of her people, the grief she carried every single day. At first, it was very hard. Kira would go back to her room after lunch and lie in her bed, exhausted. Her head would hurt. Her heart would ache. Tessin would look at her with worried eyes, but Kira did not explain. She just rested until the feelings faded. But something strange started to happen. Kira began to adapt. The human brain is a wonderful thing. It can change and grow and learn new ways of working. Kira did not know the science behind it, but she could feel the change happening. Her mind was learning to handle Nyrith's empathy. The waves of emotion still came, but they did not knock her down as hard. She could ride them instead of drowning in them. And then something even stranger happened. She started to feel other people too. It began with Tessin. Kira's roommate had always shown her feelings through her fur color. But now Kira could sense those feelings before the fur changed. She knew when Tessin was homesick before Tessin said anything. She could feel her friend's anxiety like a small cold spot in her own chest. Then it spread to others. The chief engineer's hidden anger. The navigator's fear. The secret happiness of two crew members who were falling in love. Kira could feel all of it. When she told Nyrith, the Velith woman looked shocked. That is impossible, Nyrith said. Humans are not empaths. You do not have the right brain parts for it. Maybe I am not a real empath, Kira said slowly. But humans are social animals. We evolved to read each other's faces and voices and body language. Maybe you just made that part of me stronger. Nyrith was quiet for a long time. Her antennae moved back and forth as she thought. You are adapting to me, she finally said. Your brain is changing itself so it can handle my empathy. Her voice was full of wonder. No species has ever done that before. Really? Never. Nyrith reached out and took Kira's hand. Her skin was cool and smooth. That is why my people were so alone. Other species could not bear to be near us. But you, she shook her head. You are becoming able to live with what I am. Kira squeezed her hand. Maybe you just never found the right species. Nyrith laughed. It was a real laugh, bright and surprised and happy. Kira had never heard her laugh before. It was a beautiful sound. You are impossible, Nyrith said. Humans usually are. They smiled at each other across the table. The stars moved past the window. And something important changed between them. Before, Kira had been helping Nyrith. Sitting with her. Keeping her company. Being her friend. But now it was becoming something more. They were connecting in a way that went deeper than words. Kira could feel what Nyrith felt. Nyrith could feel what Kira felt. They were learning each other from the inside. It was strange. It was scary. It was wonderful. One night, Kira woke up in the middle of the night. She did not know why at first. Then she realized she could feel Nyrith, even though they were on different parts of the ship. The Velith woman was awake too. She was sitting somewhere, looking at the stars. And she was feeling something that Kira had never felt from her before. Peace. Kira smiled in the darkness and went back to sleep. The next morning at breakfast, Tessin sat down across from Kira with a strange look on her face. "The whole ship is talking about you," Tessin said. "About me?" "About you and the Velith." Tessin's fur was a confused mix of colors. "No one understands what you are doing. Some people think you are very brave. Some people think you are very stupid. But everyone is watching." Kira shrugged. "Let them watch. Are you not afraid? Even a little bit?" Kira thought about it. She thought about the grief she had felt, the ancient pain of a dying species. She thought about the way it had almost crushed her in the beginning. She thought about how much easier it was now. "No," she said. "I am not afraid. I am just glad I showed up." Tessin shook her head, but there was respect in her eyes. "Humans," she said, "are the strangest species in the galaxy." Kira just smiled and finished her breakfast. Then she went to find Nyrith for lunch. There was still so much to learn. When Kira woke up, she was in the medical bay. The lights were dim and soft. Machines beeped quietly around her. She was lying on a bed, and her whole body felt like it was made of stone. Every muscle ached. Her head was pounding. "You are awake." Kira turned her head slowly. Nyrith was sitting in a chair beside her bed. The Velith woman looked exhausted. Dark circles hung under her golden eyes. But she was alive. She was okay. "How long was I out?" Kira asked. Her voice came out rough and weak. 16 hours. Nyrith reached out and took her hand. Her cool fingers felt wonderful against Kira's hot skin. "The doctor said you pushed your mind too hard. You need rest. The survivors from the convoy? Safe, all 200 of them." Nyrith's antennae lowered with sadness. The others? There was nothing anyone could do. Kira closed her eyes. She could still feel echoes of that terrible wave. The fear and pain of 3,000 dying people. It would take a long time for those echoes to fade. "You saved me," Nyrith said quietly. "When I lost control, when I was broadcasting everything I felt, you came and found me. You held on to me." Her voice broke a little. "No one has ever done that for me before. I told you I was not going anywhere." "Yes," Nyrith squeezed her hand. "Yes, you did." Kira stayed in the medical bay for 2 more days. Nyrith visited her constantly. Tessin came by too, her copper fur rippling with worry and relief. Other crew members stopped in as well. People Kira barely knew. They wanted to thank her for helping during the crisis. "You are famous now," Tessin told her. "Everyone on the ship knows what you did. I did not do anything special. I just held on to my friend. That is exactly what was special." Tessin's fur turned a warm golden color. "When everyone else was falling apart, you ran toward the pain instead of away from it. That is not something most species can do." Kira thought about that after Tessin left. She had never seen herself as particularly brave. She was just a girl from the asteroid belt who did not like to see people suffer alone. That was all, but maybe that was enough. When she finally left the medical bay, the ship felt different at first. Kira could not understand what had changed. Everything looked the same. The corridors, the common areas, the engineering bay. But something was not right. Something was not the same as before. Then she walked into the mess hall and she understood. The window table was not empty anymore. A group of crew members sat around Nyrith. A blue-skinned Krellox was speaking to her, his tentacles waving as he talked. A young Melori with gray fur was listening quietly. A tall crystalline Jorith sat beside them, light dancing inside his body. Nyrith was in the center of them all. Her antennae were up and alert. Her purple skin was shifting through soft, peaceful colors. She was listening carefully to the Krellox, and as Kira watched, she reached out and put her hand on his arm in a gesture of comfort. They were not avoiding her anymore. Pretty amazing, is it not? Kira turned to find the ship's first officer standing beside her. She was a stern woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. Her name was Commander Shi. What happened? Kira asked. The broadcast happened. Commander Shi crossed her arms and looked at the window table. When your friend lost control, everyone on the ship felt what she feels every day. The grief, the loneliness, the weight of carrying so much pain. She shook her head slowly. It was terrible, but it was also clarifying. Clarifying? People understand her now. They understand that she is not dangerous. She is just hurt. Very, very hurt. The commander looked at Kira. And they understand that she does not have to be alone. Kira felt tears prick her eyes. She blinked them away. The captain has asked Nyrith to join the crew officially, Commander Shi continued. As an emotional liaison. A counselor. Someone who can help people with their feelings. A small smile crossed her stern face. She said yes, that is wonderful. There is more. The commander's smile grew a little wider. The Galactic Council has heard about what happened here. They are very interested in you. In me? Why? Because you did something no one thought was possible. You adapted to Velith empathy. You formed a connection with one of the most isolated species in the galaxy. Commander Shi turned to face her fully. There are other Velith out there, Kira, scattered across hundreds of worlds. Most of them are alone, just like Nyrith was. The Council wants to send people to help them. People like me. People exactly like you. The commander nodded. Humans who can adapt, who can connect, who can show up for people that everyone else has given up on. Kira looked back at the window table. Nyrith had noticed her standing there. Their eyes met across the room. Nyrith smiled, that small, beautiful smile that Kira had come to love, and Kira felt something pass between them. Not words, just feeling, just emotion, gratitude, hope, love. I need to think about it, Kira said. Of course. Take your time. Commander Shi started to walk away, then stopped. For what it is worth, I think you would be good at it. Very good. Kira did not answer. She just walked across the mess hall toward the window table. The group around Nyrith made room for her. Someone pulled out a chair. Kira sat down beside her friend and joined the conversation, like it was the most natural thing in the world. Because it was. Later that night, Kira and Nyrith sat alone by the big window. The stars moved past like they always did. But everything else had changed. The commander told me about the council's offer, Nyrith said. What do you think I should do? Nyrith was quiet for a moment. Her antennae moved slowly, thoughtfully. I think you should do what you have always done, she finally said. Show up for the people who need it. For the ones who are sitting alone, even if it is hard. Especially if it is hard. Nyrith turned to look at her. That is what makes it matter, Kira. Anyone can be there when it is easy. But you are there when it is not. That is your gift. Kira looked at the stars. Somewhere out there, other Velith were sitting alone at their own empty tables, carrying their own impossible weight, waiting for someone to show up. I am scared, she admitted. I know. Nyrith took her hand. But you will do it anyway, because that is who you are. Kira squeezed her friend's cool fingers. She thought about her grandmother, who had rebuilt a civilization from nothing. She thought about the asteroid belt, where survival meant never leaving anyone behind. She thought about all the empty tables in the galaxy. Okay, she said quietly. I will do it. Nyrith smiled. And in the warmth of that smile, Kira felt something new beginning. 2 months had passed since Kira first sat at Nyrith's table. Things were different now. Better. The loneliness that had lived in Nyrith's eyes was fading. She smiled more often. She laughed sometimes. Her antennae stood tall and proud instead of drooping with sadness. And Kira had changed too. Her new ability to feel other people's emotions was getting stronger every day. It was not as powerful as Nyrith's empathy, but it was real. She could walk into a room and know immediately if something was wrong. She could sense lies and truth. She could feel the hidden feelings that people tried to keep secret. At first, it was overwhelming. The ship had over 2,000 crew members. That was a lot of feelings to carry around. But Kira learned to control it. She learned to build walls in her mind, to let feelings in only when she wanted to. Nyrith helped her practice. "Close your eyes," Nyrith said one afternoon. They were in a quiet corner of the observation deck, far from the busy mess hall. "Now feel the people around us, not just their surface feelings. Go deeper." Kira closed her eyes and reached out with her mind. She felt the crew members moving through the ship. A pilot who was tired. An engineer who was excited about a new project. A doctor who was worried about a patient. "Good," Nyrith said. "Now pull back. Let them go." Kira pulled the feelings away from herself. She built a wall between her mind and the others. The feelings faded like sounds heard through thick glass. "Very good." Nyrith's voice was warm with pride. "You learn fast. I have a good teacher." Nyrith smiled. But then her smile faded and her antennae twitched. "There is something coming," she said quietly. "I can feel it at the edge of my mind. Something dark." "What do you mean?" "I do not know." Nyrith shook her head. "It is too far away to be clear, but it feels like pain. Great pain. And fear." Kira felt a chill run down her back. Nyrith's range was enormous. If she was feeling something, it could be light years away. "Maybe it is nothing," Kira said. "Maybe." But Nyrith did not look convinced. 3 days later, the darkness arrived. The horizon's edge was traveling through empty space when the alarms started screaming. The captain's voice came through every speaker on the ship. "All hands to emergency stations. We have found a debris field. There are survivors." "Repeat, there are survivors." Kira ran to her station in the engineering bay. Through the ship's sensors, she could see what was outside. Twisted metal. Burning wreckage. The broken pieces of ships that had been whole just hours ago. "What happened?" she asked the chief engineer. "Raiders," he said. His face was grim. "They attacked a refugee convoy. Transport ships full of families fleeing a war zone. 3,000 people." He paused. "Most of them are dead." Kira felt sick. 3,000 people. Families. Children. "We are launching rescue shuttles," the chief engineer continued. "They need engineers to cut through the wreckage and reach the survivors. Are you ready?" Kira nodded. She did not trust herself to speak. 20 minutes later, she was on Rescue Shuttle 7, flying into the debris field. The wreckage was everywhere. Pieces of ships tumbled through space like leaves in a storm. Some of them were still on fire. "Life signs detected," the pilot announced. 200 people in the forward section of that transport. They are losing air fast. 200. Out of 3,000. The rescue work was hard and terrible. Kira and the other engineers cut through twisted metal with laser tools. They patched holes in the hull where air was leaking out. They pulled survivors from the wreckage, people who were crying and bleeding and terrified. Kira felt their fear and pain washing over her. It was almost too much to bear. But she kept working. She had to. People were depending on her. And then something worse happened. A wave of emotion hit her like a physical blow. It knocked her to her knees inside the wreckage. This was not coming from the survivors. This was coming from far away. From the horizon's edge. From NYRETH. Kira understood immediately what had happened. Nyrith had felt everything. Every death on the convoy. Every moment of terror and pain. 3,000 people dying. And she had experienced all of it. And now she was broadcasting that horror to everyone on the ship. Through her helmet radio. Kira could hear screaming. People on the rescue shuttle were collapsing. The pilot's hands were shaking so badly that he could not control the ship. Everyone was drowning in borrowed grief. What is happening? Someone shouted. What is this? Kira forced herself to stand. Her whole body was shaking. The wave of emotion was crushing her, but she refused to fall. Take me back to the ship, she said. What? Take me back now. The pilot managed to turn the shuttle around. The ride back was a nightmare. Kira sat in her seat, fighting against the flood of feelings that poured through her. They were not just Nyrith's feelings anymore. They were the feelings of the dead. 3,000 people, and Kira could feel every one of them. But she did not give up. She had survived the asteroid belt. She had survived loneliness and poverty and fear. She could survive this. The shuttle docked hard, slamming into the ship. Kira was running before the doors finished opening. She stripped off her spacesuit as she ran. Crew members lay on the floor of the corridors, crying and holding their heads. She stepped over them, kept moving. She found Nyrith in the mess hall. The Velith woman was under the window table, curled into a ball. Her purple skin had turned pale, almost white. Her antennae were stiff and still. Her eyes were open, but she was not seeing anything. She was lost somewhere deep inside her own mind. Kira dropped to her knees in front of her. Nyrith. Nyrith, look at me. No response. The wave of emotion got stronger. Kira felt her vision going dark. She grabbed Nyrith's face in her hands. You are not alone, she said. I am here. I am right here with you. Feel me. Hold on to me. For a long, terrible moment, nothing changed. Then Nyrith's golden eyes focused. They locked onto Kira's face. I cannot stop it, Nyrith whispered. They are all dying, and I cannot stop feeling them die. Then let me help you carry it. Kira pulled Nyrith into her arms and held on tight. The next few hours were the hardest of Kira's entire life. She sat on the floor of the mess hall with Nyrith in her arms. She felt every death, every scream, every last moment of fear and pain. She took it all into herself, shared the weight with Nyrith, and somehow they both survived. Human empathy was not like Velith empathy. It was smaller and simpler, but it was also tough, stubborn. It did not break. Kira held on and did not let go. And slowly, the storm began to fade. 6 months had passed as the convoy attacked. Kira stood on the observation deck of the transport ship Wandering Star, watching a new planet grow larger in the viewport. It was a cold world, covered in ice and snow. Not many people lived there. It was the kind of place where someone could disappear and never be found, which was exactly why a Velith had chosen to live there. Her name is Sorvith, said the liaison officer beside Kira. He was a thin man with nervous eyes. She has been on this planet for 43 years. No contact with anyone except supply ships. No friends. No family. Does she know I am coming? We sent a message ahead. She did not reply. The liaison officer shifted uncomfortably. Miss Voss, I should warn you. The other attempts to reach isolated Velith have not gone well. Most of our contact teams could not even get close. The emotional pressure was too strong. I understand. Do you? He looked at her with something between hope and doubt. The council says you are different. They say you can adapt. But Sorvith has been alone for a very long time. Whatever pain she carries, it will be worse than anything you have felt before. Kira thought about Nyrith, about the grief of billions, about holding on to her friend while the weight of 3,000 deaths tried to crush them both. I have felt a lot, she said quietly. I think I can handle it. The liaison officer did not look convinced, but he nodded and stepped back. The shuttle landed on a frozen plain near a small settlement. There were maybe 20 buildings, all of them covered in snow. The wind was sharp and cold, cutting through Kira's thick coat like it was made of paper. She walked toward the edge of the settlement, following the directions the supply ship captain had given her. Sorvith lived in the last building, the one farthest from everyone else. Of course she did. Kira felt the empathy before she even got close. It hit her like walking into a wall of ice. Cold and hard and ancient. This was not fresh grief like Nyrith's had been. This was something older. Something that had frozen solid over decades of loneliness. She kept walking. The building was small and simple. Just 4 walls and a roof, barely enough to keep out the cold. Kira stopped at the door and knocked. No answer. She knocked again. Go away. The voice was rough and harsh, like it had not been used in a long time. I did not ask for visitors. My name is Kira Voss. I came a very long way to meet you. I do not care how far you came. Leave me alone. Kira stood in the snow, feeling the cold seep into her bones. The empathic pressure was enormous now. It was like standing at the bottom of a frozen ocean, with all that weight pressing down on her. But she did not leave. I know someone like you, she said through the door. Her name is Nyrith. She was alone for a very long time, too. Everyone avoided her. Everyone was afraid of her. And then I sat down at her table one day, and everything changed. Silence from inside the building. I am not going to hurt you, Kira continued. I am not going to run away. I am just going to sit here, outside your door, until you are ready to talk. Even if it takes all night. Even if it takes a week. I will wait. More silence. Kira sat down in the snow. The hours passed slowly. The sun moved across the sky and eventually set. The temperature dropped even lower. Kira's coat was good, but not good enough. She started to shiver, but she did not leave. The empathic pressure shifted around her. It was still cold and heavy, but there was something else now. Something underneath the ice. Curiosity, maybe. Or confusion. The door opened. Sorvith stood in the doorway. She was old, much older than Nyrith. Her purple skin had faded to a pale lavender, and her antennae were bent and worn. But her eyes were the same golden color. The same beautiful, lonely gold. You are still here, she said. I told you I would wait. Sorvith stared at her for a long moment. The empathic pressure shifted again, pressing against Kira's mind, searching, testing. You are human, Sorvith said slowly, but you feel different. Your mind is open, flexible. I have been practicing. With who? With Nyrith. My friend. Kira smiled through her shivers. She taught me how to share the weight, how to carry pain that is not mine, how to connect with someone even when it hurts. Sorvith's antennae twitched. Something changed in her face. A crack in the ice. Come inside, she said, before you freeze to death. The building was warm inside. There was a fire burning in a small stove. Simple furniture. My walls. Nothing personal. Nothing that suggested anyone really lived here. Sorvith sat down in a chair by the fire. Kira sat across from her. Why are you really here? Sorvith asked. Because no one should have to be alone. Not for 43 years. Not for one day. Kira leaned forward. There are others like you. Velith scattered across the galaxy, hiding from a universe that is afraid of them. The Galactic Council sent me to find you. All of you. To offer help, companionship, a place where you can belong. Sorvith laughed. It was a harsh, bitter sound. Belong? Where would someone like me belong? Wherever you want. The Council is building communities for Velith survivors. Places where you can be with your own kind. or with others who understand. Kira paused. Or you can stay here, if that is what you want. But I will still visit. I will still come back. Why? What do you gain from this? Kira thought about the question. She thought about her grandmother, who had spent her whole life helping people. She thought about the asteroid belt, where no one survived alone. She thought about Nyrith, smiling at her across the mess hall table. Nothing, she said. I gain nothing. But that is not why I do it. Then why? Because everyone deserves someone who shows up. Even when it is hard. Especially when it is hard. Kira met Sorvith's eyes. You have been carrying this weight alone for so long. Let me help, please. Sorvith did not answer for a very long time. The fire crackled. The wind howled outside. The empathic pressure around them slowly began to change. The ice was melting. I do not understand you, Sorvith finally said. Your species is young and fragile. You do not have our abilities. You cannot feel what we feel. And yet you keep reaching out. Keep trying to connect. Why? Kira smiled. Because that is what humans do. We reach out. We hold on. We refuse to let go, even when the universe tells us we should. She stood up and held out her hand. Come with me, Sorvith. Let me show you. Sorvith looked at the offered hand for a long moment. Then, slowly, she reached out and took it. Her skin was cold at first. But as they stood there, hand in hand, Kira felt it begin to warm. The ice was finally melting. Months later, Kira stood on the observation deck of a new station. It was called Haven, and it was the first community built specifically for Velith survivors. Dozens of them lived there now, connecting with each other, healing together. And with them were the humans who had showed up. Engineers and doctors and counselors from Earth. People who had learned to adapt, just like Kira had. People who were not afraid of feeling too much. People who understood that the greatest gift you can give someone is simply being there. Nyrith walked up beside her, her purple skin glowing with health and happiness. You did this, Nyrith said. We did this. All of us. Nyrith smiled and leaned her head against Kira's shoulder. They stood together, looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there, more Velith were waiting. More empty tables. More people who needed someone to show up. And humans would keep showing up. Because that was who they were. That was what made them special. Not their strength. Not their technology. Not their power. Just their stubborn, beautiful refusal to let anyone be alone. The stars stretched out forever, full of darkness and light. And somewhere in that vast expanse, a young engineer from the asteroid belt had started something that would change the galaxy, one table at a time.